here we go. So our section today is actually going to be 3.5 and 3.8 together. And we are working with sets. A set is a list of items. Those items can be numbers, they can be letters, they can be animals, they can be pictures, they can be shapes, they can be anything. Absolutely anything can go in one of those sets. A subset is a part of the original set. So, example number 1. Find all possible subsets for, let's go with A, B, C. All right. So when I say all possible subsets, we can have one letter in there, we can have 2 letters in there, we can have all 3 letters in there, we can have no letters in there. We want to do every combination possible. All right, so we're going to list each one of those sets. The first one, I'm going to do all the individual letters. And you should put brackets around each one. So the first set is just A. The next subset is B. Next one is just C. Then I can do a combination of 2 letters together. So we can do AB. We can do AC. And we can do BC. And then, of course, we've done individuals. We've done 2 at a time. We can do all 3, which is A, B, and C. That can be a subset of the original. And we can also do none of them. And we talked the other day about how you can have none of them, just leaving it blank. Or what else did we say you could put in there? 0. Yes, good job, Chris. A 0 with a line through it. This means empty set. There's nothing in it. I know. Just squiggle. Squiggle works. Okay? So the first few problems you have in your homework, that's all I'm asking you to do is to list all the subsets. Okay? Next vocabulary I want to talk about is, again, one of your vocabulary words. It was the complement. The complement of a set, though, is the unwanted items. And when we talk about the complement, the notation for it is always A prime. There's a little prime next to whatever we have. So if I have a universal set, which again was another one of your vocabulary words, universal is the biggest one that's available. If I have a universal set of, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I say that A is 1, 3, and 5, the complement of this, or A prime, are all the things that aren't included here. Whoops. So, for example, what's not included in 1, 3, and 5? 2 and 4. Exactly. Okay? So, example number 2, and this will finish up the first page. Suppose U equals, again, that represents universal sets. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7. Get that out of our way. There we go. And A equals 1, 2, 3, and 7, find A prime. So we look at our universal set. We look at all the A's we have, or everything that's included in A. You'll notice that 1 is in the universal set, 2 is in the universal set, 3 and 7. So what number is going to be our A prime? Just 5. That's it. So that's page 1, or the first page in our notes, or our homework. Any questions? They'll seem pretty easy, right? All right. The second section, that's a really good try. It's not going to happen, but it's a really good try. The second section is where things get a little more fun. Fun. All right. So we have 2 more vocabulary words that we need to discuss. One of them is the word union. Union means that we're putting all items together. And the notation for union, how did we put 2 sets from an OR problem together? A U. What do you think union is? A U. Just like that. The second thing we're going to talk about is intersection. Intersection is the overlapping items. And the notation for an intersection is an upside down U. Well, it's not really an N. It's a U that's flipped over. Because it doesn't have, like, you don't make it an N. It's a, I don't know. It's an upside down horseshoe. I don't know. How do you want to think about it? It's an N. Okay. All right. So here is example number 3. If I tell you that A equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and B equals 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, first thing I want to do is A union with B. So again, union means that I'm taking the 2 and putting them together. If it already exists in 1, you don't have to write it a second time. So the union of these 2 has to include all of the items. So I'm going to start here, which means I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from the first one. The second one already has 4 and 5, so I'm just going to add the 6, 7, and 8. Yes, Devin. We're just what? Try that again. Right, exactly. We're putting them all together. Okay? I'm going to use the same one if I said A intersecting with B. This just wants the numbers that overlap between the 2 of them. What numbers is that? 4 and 5. Exactly. Questions at all? No? Okay, here's example number 4 then. I'm going to make it a little bit tougher. Well, of course. Let's say A equals odd numbers between, whoops, try that again. I don't have any. You're going to have to use the napkins up on top. Numbers between hey. It helps if I spell right, huh? All right. So odd numbers between 0 and 10. And we're going to say B is even numbers from 4 to 8. All right, first thing I want to do is A union B. So I'm going to go right above this first one, and I'm going to say odd numbers between 0 and 10. Well, those are actually 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. What are the even numbers from 4 to 8?
2, 4, 6, from 4 to 8. Oh.
4, 6, and 8. Thank you. Okay. So if I'm going to union them together, I'm going to write all of them on this one. Now, I really like to keep them in order. So I don't want to just write the top one and then write the bottom one at the end. We're going to try and put them in order, okay? So we do have 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to come down here. I have 4, 5, 6. Oh, there wasn't a 2. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Good job. All right. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Awesome. That's all of them all together, right? How about A intersect B? Where do they overlap? They don't. So what do you think we should put?
All the numbers combined.
Yes, 0 with a line through it. You can either leave it blank. That's an empty set, or we can put the circle with a line through it. All right. Sample number 5. Example number 5, let's go with A is, and it's going to be written a little bit different sometimes. X is even whole numbers, that means they have to be positive, less than 8. And let's say set B is 6, 8, 10, and 12. So in your homework, I highly suggest that if you get a set that looks like this where it says X, and this is just notation, it's saying for X, X is even whole numbers less than 8. So I would list those actually out. Whole numbers that are even and less than 8 are the numbers 2, 4, 6. If it's less than 8, am I going to include 8? What are you talking about? Okay, let's try again, okay? In the first one, what I said was numbers that are even whole less than 8, which means even, we know they have to be divisible by 2. Whole numbers, they have to be positive counting numbers, right? And less than 8. Will I include 8? No, because it says less than 8, right? So really, this set is just 2, 4, and 6. All right, so if we do A intersect B, what does intersect mean? Yes, what they have in common, where they intersect each other or overlap each other. So it's just the number 6. A union B. So that's going to be everything from both sets. So this set had 2, 4, and 6. Set B had 6, 8, 10, and 12. Well, I already have a 6, so I don't need to write it again. 8, 10, and 12. Do we have questions at all about how to do these? These should be pretty easy, right? Okay. All right, next thing I want to talk about is a Venn diagram. Last thing I want to talk about is a Venn diagram. Yep. Okay, when we do a Venn diagram, I'm going to give you 3 sets. When you do a Venn diagram, if you have 2 sets, you have 2 circles that are overlapping, right? If you have 3 sets, you have 3 circles that are overlapping. Okay, so when we have 2 sets, then you're going to have 2 circles next to each other overlapping. This middle section is, of course, the intersection of the 2. Out here would be the remaining of set A. And out here would be the remaining of set B. So here is example number 5. Make a Venn diagram for the sets A equals ALGEBR and set B is GEOMTR and Y. All right. So we have 2 sets. I'm going to make 2 circles. Again, the overlapping in the middle. This is set A over here, and this is set B over here. Start with your overlapping. What letter occurs in both sets? G and R. Okay, so I'm going to cross those out on both of them. And there's also an E. Thank you. And an E. Is there anything else in common? All right. So in the rest of my circle here, I'm going to put the rest of our set A, which is an A, an L, and a B. In the rest of this circle, I'm going to put the rest of set B, which is good. O, M, T, and Y. Those are part, yeah, they're the end, like 22 and 24. Okay? All right. Let's do one last example, and I'm done. Example number 6. Make a Venn diagram. All right, so let's say set A is pink, 3, duck, and A. Yep. B equals the set. Let's say green, 3, B, and bear. C, set C. I know. Set C, let's say we have pig, cow, 3, A, and dog. All right. So this time you'll notice we have 3 different sets going on, which means if we're going to do a Venn diagram, we have to have 3 circles. Huh? No, there's a comma between there.
Are 3 and pink and green?
Those are all separate. Okay, so if we are doing 3 in a Venn diagram, you have 2 circles on the top that overlap, and then you have a circle on the bottom that overlaps. Kinda. So, up here, this is set A, this will be set B, and down here is set C. In the very middle is anything that's in all 3 sets together. The number 3 is in all 3, so that's going to go in the middle. Is that the only thing that's in all 3? Yes, I agree. So I'm going to now cross that one out. All right. Now, let's do the overlap between A and B. Is there anything that's in just A and B that hasn't already been talked about? Nope. Okay. How about an overlap between A and C? The letter A, exactly. So that's going to go in this section right here. That's the overlap between A and C. I'm going to cross that A out. Is there anything between B and C? No. Okay. So then back in A is all of the things that we haven't crossed off yet, which is pink and duck. In circle B is all the stuff we haven't crossed off yet, which is green, bee, and bear. Good. And then down here in the rest of C will be pig, cow, and dog. So you have a problem just like this in your homework. Uh-huh. All right, you guys ready to do your homework? Any questions? Okay, make sure you write those down. 20 to 28 even on 197, and 20 to 26 even on 218. And yes, I have it posted in Google Classroom already.